I want you now to print the workbooks if you didn't print them yet, which were in the beginning of this module, and or take a pen and paper. And I want you to write and list all the activities and tasks you are having in your current work, current job. I will give you an example. For instance, me as a recruitment consultant, I need to do cold calling, I need to get new customers, I need to meet the customers, I need to travel to meet the customers. If I get an assignment, I need to get the briefing, I need to make a market research to find potential candidates, I need to contact the candidates, I need to do the interviews, assessment of the final shortlisted candidates, and then I present the candidates to the client. So there are different tasks related to my job. Then I'm doing these videos, meaning I'm shooting the videos, but I need to also prepare the content for the videos. So I want you to list all the tasks you have on a weekly basis or monthly basis. There might be something like, let's say once a year you go to some training, that's okay. But kind of the core task that you do on a repetitive basis, which are really involved in your job. And now you might see on the screen a template if you don't have a workbook, but basically it's a list of tasks. And now I would like you to pause the video and just write down all the tasks that you do. And once you are done, you continue with the video. So pause it now and do it. And now, when you listed all the tasks that you do, I want you to think how much time you actually spend with all those activities percentually. For instance, traveling to the job. If it takes you 1 hour there and 1 hour back, it's 2 hours of your day. So let's count that, percentually, how much time you spend on traveling, how much time you spend on sales, on marketing, on developing the products, how much time you spend, in my case, on interviews and on market research and contacting the candidates, and just make it percentually wise, like 20% on this and 10% of this and 5% of that one. And again, pause the video and allocate your time to all these activities. Try to think, how many percent of your time, weekly or monthly, goes into these main activities. And now when you are done with list of tasks and allocated the time, how much you spend with those, I want you to think how much you love or hate those particular activities. So give them love-hate score from 1 to 10. If you really don't like doing those, give it 1 or 2. And if you really love it, give it 9 or 10. If it's something you do very often and you do it okay and you are fine with it, but you don't necessarily love it, then give it 5, 6 or 7. So I want you to rate them, and again, in the same template, in the third column, you put the rate from 1 to 10 to each of those activities as they are in the workbook. For instance, if I really don't like cold calling to new potential customers who have never heard about me, I give the rate 1 or 10. And if I really love interviewing the candidates, because that's my kind of really loved activity, I give it 9 or 10. And if I go to conferences and I like it, but I can also skip it, I give it 5. So just rate your activities now from 1 to 10. Again, pause the video and do it now. And now I want you to look at your list and the scores you gave. I want you to find out and allocate or mark the one that you spend most time with. I want you to think which scores you gave. Let's say I really love interviewing the candidates, interacting face-to-face, meeting them live, and discussing with them, the same with the customers. So I spend most of my time there, and I also gave the rating 9 or 10, the highest ones, meaning I spend most of my time with the things I really love. And then there were a few activities for me which I really don't like invoicing or doing the accounting things. But of course I have to do them as well. It's part of my job. Luckily, I spent the very little time monthly with those activities and I gave the score only 1 or 2. So that's okay. Something needs to be done. Luckily, it's only very little time that I need to do something that I really don't like. But I want you to now look at your scores. What activities you gave high scores and how much time you allocated. So let's look at this together. First of all, most of my time here goes into activity number 5, 35%, so that's the biggest one. And imagine that the biggest amount of time I spend with something that I gave the score only number 1. That's really not good. What do you think? How fulfilled this person will feel? Of course not, because most of his time he's doing something that he scored only number 1. Second biggest time goes to activity number 7. Biggest amount of time you spent with something you scored only number 2. That's again very bad. I mean, this person needs to be really suffering. Imagine that he's spending actually together 35 and 20, 55% of his each single day and week and month doing something that he likes on a scale from 1 to 10. He likes it only 1 or 2. That's really not good. Third biggest amount of his time goes to activity number 6, so 15% of the time, and luckily he spends time with something that he scored as number 8, so that's good. We can give as a green. And then also activity number 4 he likes very much. He spends only 10% of the time, and then he loves also activity number 1. So there are activities in this person task list that he really likes very much. He gives scores 9, 10 or 8, which is very good score, but unfortunately he spends only very little time doing those, and most of his time he's spending with something that he doesn't enjoy much. So I want you to think now and make this kind of analysis of your own work. Where do you spend time with, and do you enjoy those activities? And if not, then I think it's time to do something about it. So let's meet in the next video and let's continue this process. I believe that doing this analysis is great start to realize why you might be not fully happy, and perhaps thinking what you could improve and what kind of activities you could include into your co-responsibilities and tasks to actually make your work more enjoyable and more engaged and more inspiring, so that you actually perform better and you enjoy much more. See you in the next video.